welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be talking about the childhood phase of human growth and development, and it lasts till 12 years to 13 years of age. So, in girls, it is 12 years, and in boys, it's 13 to 14 years of age. So, when we talk about childhood stage, it is basically divided into two phases: the early childhood and late childhood. The early childhood, it starts from 2 years of age till 6 years of age, and late childhood starts from 7 years of age and lasts till 12 to 13 years of age. So as stated earlier, girls mature faster than boys. So in girls it is till 12 to 13 years, and in boys it is 13 to 14 years of age. So now let us discuss some of the characteristics of early childhood stage. When we talk about the characteristics, it's a very important thing to be noted here is that it is also called as the problematic stage, since small children are difficult to handle and they have frequent mood swings, and they also face some health issues, which also has to be dealt by the parents. So it is called as problematic age. These children are also called as preschoolers, since they start their preschool at this stage. This stage is also called as imitative or creative stage, because children learn by imitating their elders, be it in language or habits. It is also called as creative age, since children exhibit some form of creativity in their language or in their play. So maybe they might not follow the rules, or they may invent some other type of words in some languages. So that is why it is called as creative stage. Another very crucial characteristics of this stage is the physical development that takes place during this stage. So rapid growth takes place during the childhood stage, and some of the physical development, of course, is the muscular development, and the increase in height, weight, the fat content in the body, the teeth comes initially. So all the teeth are formed so that the child is able to chew and eat things. Some hand skills also develop, that is, children start eating with their own hands. They want to do things by themselves, they want to become independently, so they like to dress by themselves, so they also like to take bath by themselves, they like to comb their hair, brush their teeth, etc. And it is also seen that since muscular development takes place, so leg skills like running, jumping, hopping, etc., that is also one of the characteristic features of this particular stage. The cognitive development also takes place at a rapid pace in this during this phase. Improvement in speech is seen. Children starts speaking in a clear way. Pronunciation gets better. Vocabulary and an increased vocabulary is seen. Children exhibit increased vocabulary. They form sentences and they use different words in their language. They also learn some basic skills like tying their shoes, brushing their teeth, dressing. They're also able to comprehend the language in a better manner. So that is some of the cognitive skills that the children develop at this stage. It is also to be noted that during this phase, when the child develops, it is seen that some children are very talkative and some children are silent, they are not much talkative. So that this phenomena also starts to occur during this stage. It is also seen that the socialization process starts at this stage. Since children start to interact with other people, the socialization process starts. And one of the characteristics feature is that the children like to play with other children. They exhibit typical play pattern at this stage, and they play with toys and games, and they like reading comics and watching TV, cartoons. So these are some of the typical characteristics which is exhibited during this stage. Also, it has been seen that concept starts to develop, Concepts like life, death, bodily functions, time, self, society, etc. So these are some of the concepts which children start to understand. They start to question about it. They start to ask their elders about what are these things, and they try to develop the understanding of these phenomena. Another characteristic feature of this stage is the moral development also takes place is in terms of discipline and following certain rituals. So whatever kind of environment or rituals or discipline they are taught at this particular stage, they start to exhibit that. And some of the common interest also starts to develop, like interest in religion, self, human body, clothes, etc. So children start taking interest in clothes. They like to wear certain kind of clothes. They do not like certain kind of clothes. They also like to know about their body parts. They ask their elders about their body parts. So these are some of the characteristics which is seen during this stage. So when we have now understood the characteristics of this stage, now let us try to understand the hazards associated with early childhood stage. So some of the common physical hazards during this stage include mortality, illnesses and diseases, like it has also been said if children get sick and if proper care is not taken, so the mortality can take place due to certain diseases. Other illnesses and diseases are very common at this stage. Since the immunity of children is very weak, they get sick very easily, and proper care has to be taken at this stage. Unattractiveness is also a phenomena which is seen during this stage, because sometimes the milk teeth falls down, they do not have the teeth, a new teeth is coming, that also leads to some kind of unattractiveness, which is also seen at this stage, because children like to play outdoor games. They do not care much about their looks. So since children are in the growing stage, so unattractiveness is also one of the features of this stage. Obesity also can occur during this stage if proper nutrition is not given to the children. There are also some psychological hazards in this stage, which can be like speech hazards, phenomena like stammering, unclear speech, etc. These can occur at this stage, and if it is not addressed at this stage, it may continue in later phases, and then it will be very difficult for it to be addressed. So when this is addressed at this stage, then it can be treated or looked after this. Personality problem also occurs at this stage, like when the concept of self is not favorable, then this is called as that has an impact on the personality. Like if the elders have an unfavorable attitude towards the children, then they think that they are not worthy enough, so that has an effect on the personality of the child. There are also some social hazards which include like unhealthy or unpleasant experience from their playmates, and they may not be liked by their playmates. So if their playmates do not treat them properly, then that may lead to loneliness. The child might not like to play with them, so they may remain alone, so that can cause loneliness. And if the children are alone or they face loneliness, that can be a cause of watching more TV, or watching TV in excess, or start reading. They may take refuge in reading books, etc. So those are the social hazards which are characteristics to this phase. So after when we have discussed the hazards of early childhood, now let us discuss some of the characteristics features of late childhood. So late childhood is also called as quarrelsome age. It is also called as quarrelsome age because children pick a fight with their peers very easily. And it has to be noted that during this phase the development of the child is the combined responsibility of parents, teachers and peer groups. So all of these influence the development of the child. So some of the physical development which has to be taken into consideration during this phase is the, of course, increase in weight, height, and permanent teeth appears. Girls grow faster and mature faster. It is also seen that some children, most of the children use their right hand for writing and doing other stuff, but some children use their left hand for writing or for doing other tasks. So this handedness develops during this phase. So the child decides to write with hand. So when if it is addressed at this stage, then they may be made to write with their right hand. Otherwise they may develop a habit of doing things with their left hand. It is also seen that some of the children use both their hands for writing. So these children are special children. These children are called as ambidextrous. There are certain skills which develops during this phase, and these and this depends upon the environment and the opportunity for learning which is existing in that particular time. The opportunity for learning which is existing at that particular time. For example, reading and writing, or music, swimming, etc. So these are the skills which a child learns if he or she is exposed to this kind of environment or opportunity. So the opportunity to which the child is exposed to, the child will learn and take advantage of those opportunities. The cognitive development also takes place during this phase. So the speech further develops, the vocabulary increases, and also the comprehension increases. And with time and language, with practice, these also improve. Socialization process also continues in this stage, and there are different phases of socialization. So once the children start going to school, they interact with their peers and teachers. They also learn which emotions to express publicly and which emotions to not express. It is also commonly seen that children exhibit gang behavior. That means children like to be with other children. They like to be in groups. They do not want to hang out alone. They want to hang out with people, and this is because they have their need of belongingness, and they fulfill this need of belongingness by forming social groups, which is also called as peer groups or gangs, so that they can have fun with them, they can play with them. Now if parents opposed to this kind of hanging out with certain people, then friction can start with the child and the parents. Another important feature is that play interest, which is seen in the children. So it has been seen that as the child grows, they decrease their time in playing and they put their more effort in their study or their more responsibility. Like if they are school going, they will take more interest in their school work or homework or their studies, and doing other course. So the responsibility increases and the child starts to take other responsibilities apart from playing. It is also seen that children have some form of amusements which they can go for. So reading, like reading storybooks, magazine, comics, etc. These are some form of amusements which children exhibit. They like watching movies, radios, and TV. They also like to daydream and fantasize things. Children also develop moral code and discipline, and they develop conscience according to their discipline, which is taught in their school or in their home. So the home environment and the school environment is very important in developing a moral code and discipline among the children. A very common thing during this phase is that child exhibits misbehavior. The phenomena of misbehavior, like since when they are reaching towards the adolescent phase, Misbehaving with elders and members of different peer groups is seen, especially if their thoughts or opinion do not match with theirs. So they try to oppose the thought process, and the if certain things are imposed on them, they try to resist that. So that is also seen during this phase. It is also seen that development of gender stereotypes occurs at this stage. So, boys appropriate and girls appropriate behavior is recognized by the people. So, girls start to uh, behave in a girlish way, and boys start to behave in a manner which is supposed to be appropriate for boys. Girls start to behave in a manner which is supposed to be appropriate for girls. So that means that at this stage the children they have an understanding about gender roles, and according to that only they start to behave. It is also seen the family relationships uh, the family relationship is affected at this stage. The role playing is affected. If proper guidance is not given, then children are unable to learn the role which they have to play. So it is very important that the family relationship at this stage is conducive to the healthy growth and development of the children. Cognitive development also takes place when understanding of concepts like life, death, social roles, time, etc. So these concepts becomes grounded, and over the period of time they it might change, but they usually remain static if much thinking is not done on this. Psychosocial development also takes place during this phase. And so these are some factors which affect personality. These are the social environment, the home environment. So unstable social environment affects older children more than home environment. The ordinal position and physical conditions of the children also affects the psychological or the personality development of the children. So if the child is the eldest one, they would have a different kind of personality, a typical personality which shows that they are the eldest, and they show typical behavior. If a child is the younger one, that affects the personality of the child, because they are always treated as young. So their personality is molded in that way. Similarly, physical conditions, like if the child is obese and well built, then people also treat him like that. So their behavior also is affected by their physical conditions. If they have some physical limitations, then that will also limit their personality. The socioeconomic status, the success and failure, these factors also affect the personality of the children in some ways. Now, let us discuss some of the hazards associated with late childhood. So, some of the physical hazards are like illnesses, obesity, disability. So, these are some of the problems which can occur during the childhood stage. Speech hazards, as stated earlier, stammering can occur. So, if stammering starts from early childhood, but if it is not addressed, that will be carried on towards the late childhood stage. Social hazards consists of lack of acceptance from peer. So, if the child is not accepted by the peer group, that leads to loneliness. So that is one of the hazards. Uh, if the parents are always mobile and they keep migrating from one place to other, then that can also let the child feel as the child will feel a sense of rootlessness, since they do not are they since they are not brought up at the same place where they were born, and they grow up in a different environment. So that can cause a sense of rootlessness. Self concept also gets affected. So negative self image that may lead to self rejection. This may lead to prejudiced or discriminatory behavior towards others. So if the child develops negative self image, the child will reject itself, that it will think that the child will think that I'm good for nothing, and that can also have an effect on like how he or she behaves with other people. Some of the moral hazards consist of like lack of consistency in discipline, failure to develop the morale. So discipline is taught at home and school, but there can be chances that if uh, proper instruction is not given, then that may lead to lack in consistency in discipline. And they also, it can occur that they may fail to develop any morale. So the external environment is very crucial in developing these characteristics in the children, so that has to be taken into consideration. So this is all in the childhood stage. I hope you might have got some information about the childhood stage. So if you have any doubts or anything to ask, you may please comment in the comment box. So thank you for watching this video.